afternoon, Sarah. How are you doing today?
Hi, John. I'm good, thanks.
That's amazing. Welcome to Reel In Films, and we're going to be talking about the two episodes that you got to direct for the hit series Upload, and for this season 3. My initial question to start this is, being the fact that you worked in countless other series, what caught your attention to be part of this third season of Upload?
Yeah, I was a fan of Upload from the beginning. It was very helpful and cathartic during the Corona shutdown, stay-at-home times to be binging the show. I liked the show from the start, both because it has that smart satire and it has a lot of pathos and humor. I loved imagining both the good and bad potential futuristic uses of technology, whether it's murderous self-driving cars or whether it's, getting consent before you have sex with somebody, that everything is going to be okay. Those things I thought were really on point and very funny as well. And then I just liked the characters so much. So I was a big fan going in and really happy to be a part of season 3.
So I want to ask, because having most of your career is different shows, so you have basically touched upon different genres. But being the fact that let's talk, for instance, you were part of a couple of episodes for The Boys, for Law and Order, Jessica Jones, The Flash. So there's a lot of like mystery, thriller, and action behind all of these shows. And then Upload is different. So was it a little difficult to to shift into to like a more comedic series?
I think a lot of the shows that I had done in the past, even though they're technically 1 hours, had humor in them. I'd also done a half-hour comedy as well, but in general, most of my 1 hour episodes had a lot of humor, right? The Boys is darkly funny. The Flash has a lot of humor as well. This Is Us has humor. Like, there's a lot of humor, even in a drama these days. So that wasn't necessarily a stretch at all. And then VFX, right? I've done so many different shows with visual effects that wasn't a stretch either. I've done a lot of action. I remember actually when I first met Robbie on set, I was prepping and he was getting ready to shoot a scene. He said, "Sarah, I'm so glad you're the one doing the finale block. There's so much to do." And I think he was referring to the fact that there are a lot of action scenes and visual effects, and it was chock full, more so than some prior episodes. So we definitely knew we had our work cut out for us in my finale block.
Okay, that's amazing. So wanted to know, how does it work? Um, how does it work when you do, because you have these two episodes, how do you communicate with the other directors, to maintain that streamline of like to just maintain the same story moving forward? Because we're talking about that all these episodes are directed by different people. So how does that work between all of you?
So it's a job of the director to step seamlessly into a show. Most shows are not asking a director to reinvent the wheel or to make a very different type of show than the episode that came before them. But so that's partly obviously on the director, and there's a producing director, Jeff Blitz, who's worked on the show for all of last season as well, and he's actually a friend of mine from film school, so it was really fun to work with him. And he's there to help out in prep and to some extent also while you're shooting. But that's also Greg Daniels' job. It's as a showrunner, it's his job to deal with the writing and how that's consistent and the story he wants to tell and the arcs that go across episodes and go across seasons. And so it's all a collaboration, and we have lots of meetings in pre-production where we're having a concept meeting, we have a tone meeting, we have story meetings if the scripts need to be cut down for time or for whatever reasons. So it's a wonderful collaborative process. And one of the things that's great about this show was that was very it was very collaborative. They were very open to hearing my input, and I'm happy always to hear sometimes you may think a scene doesn't belong, and then when you hear the reason why it's there, you go, oh, okay, of course, now that makes more sense. And then maybe there'll be a couple of adjustments that they'll make in the writing, or maybe not, but then we're all on the same page going forward, and that's what helps the shows be consistent across episode to episode.
Okay. And how would you describe, at least with a few words, like that we don't give that much details to the audience, how would you describe these 2 episodes of Upload?
So, being that they're the end of the season, they're tying up a lot of storylines. That doesn't mean that we always know what happens, because they'll always push us forward into the next season, wondering what's going to happen next. But I think that each of them has some resolutions that are very satisfying, and also that are unexpected. And I don't know, it's hard to speak too generally about it, but we see what happens with the Horizon case, and we see what happens with regard to the download Nathan's health. And we see what happens with this relationship. It's not a love triangle anymore. It's more of a square or a rectangle. So we see what happens with this 4-way relationship as well. And then it leads us with an ongoing question: what will happen in season 4?
Okay, so uh do you have any memories while you filmed those two episodes? Do you have any memories that you like to like revisit while you were filming?
You mean like stories from set?
Yeah.
My one of my favorite memories is the animals in the LA restaurant, because we thought when we first scouted the restaurant that we would be able to physically put the animals in this restaurant in a tank that we would build. But it turned out that no such restaurant in Vancouver allows live animals in their actual restaurant. It is an actual restaurant that we filmed at. So it's somewhat at the last minute, we realized we were going to have to do this in 2 parts: a visual effect part where we filmed the actual animals on a soundstage, and the part in the restaurant where we have Robbie looking at an empty tank and a chef putting her hands into an empty tank and taking out a little stuffed animal, covered in green stuffed animal to get back to the kitchen. So it was pretty funny to have to do them separately like that. And we were just very mindful of the most economical and efficient way of doing that, because it was an unexpected expense to do that. And so I worked closely with the visual effects supervisor and with the cinematographer to pick angles that I thought could tell the story, but angles where we thought we could actually get away with doing this, to be able to shoot them both there in the restaurant and later in a soundstage. And in the soundstage, the animals were hilarious, because the duck was very unfriendly to the other animals, and the little lamb or the goat liked to jump across the divisions, and we were like, wait, no. They were not very directable.
So wanted to ask you this as well. Are you part of like when they edit the episodes, or do you join the editor, to go ahead and case in those episodes like before they send them in?
Yeah, so the way it works in television is that
Mm-hmm.
the editor is putting it together as you're going along and filming, and then at the end of filming, they have a certain number of days to cut it all together. Sometimes if they're backlogged and working on other episodes, it'll take many, many days, and other times they have a basic amount of days to put it together. And then the director gets the opportunity to spend a number of days in post with the editor. Absolutely, 100%. That's contractual, and it's an important part of the process. And then there's always a part of the process that continues after the director is done, because unlike film, television is not a director's medium as much as it's the showrunner and head writer's medium. So once the director's done, then the producers come in and they work with the editors, sometimes not for very long. If it's a network schedule, sometimes you don't have very much time at all until it airs. But in streaming, and especially on a show like this, where there's a lot of visual effects, there's a lot of time that the showrunner can spend with the editors. And then they still have to lock it because the visual effects still needs an enormous amount of time to do their work as well. So there's a long process that goes on after the director is done. And many times the director is invited back into the process, and you can watch a cut along the way. Sometimes there'll be a pickup or a reshoot or something like that. And so you're going to get involved again concretely by working in production, and then you get to do your time in post-production with those scenes as well.
Okay. So, Sarah, one final question. This is very simple question. How would you describe these final 2 episodes of Upload in one word?
Ooh, one word. That's not fair. One word. Okay, the first one is surprising, and the next one is amazing.
That's great. So, Sarah, thank you very much for giving me the time to talk about Upload and all this process to being a TV series director. And I hope that everybody that's watching us here enjoys Upload when they get to see the finale. So, Sarah, thank you very much for giving us the time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.